Hello everyone, this is Navarsha, Assistant Professor, Department of CSE, Engineering College, Bikaner. In last lecture, we studied about a distance vector algorithm for network layer. In today's lecture, we will see what are the problems in distance vector algorithm, in distance vector routing, and what is the next algorithm we can use instead of distance vector algorithm, that is your link state algorithm. So see, one problem in distance vector algorithm is two node instability. This is a problem in which for some amount of time when we are transmitting the routing table, for some time network goes to unstable state. That means there is only a transmission of wrong messages or wrong path or wrong distance in between the time. So that is the instability problem in distance vector routing. So here we have shown only the portion of the routing table which needed for our discussion. At the beginning, both nodes A and B know how to reach node X, but suddenly the link between A and X fails. So node here this is the scenario before failure, and after failure this is the scenario. So what A will do whenever A finds that the route for the X has failed, or any device or any router between A and X has failed, so A cannot reach to X, so A will update in its table the distance for X is infinite. So whenever the link between A and X fails, node A changes its table. If A can send its table to B immediately, then everything is fine, because B goes to X via A. So if A directly immediately send the table to B, then there is no problem. However, if the system becomes unstable, if B sends its routing table to A before receiving A's routing table, A has sent the table to B, but the table has not yet reached to B, and in between, if B send its table, so what A will find that yes, I cannot go to B, I cannot go to X, but there is some node B via which I can go to X. So what A will do, A will update its table, and A will update its table based upon B's calculation, based upon B's routing table. Basically, B is actually dependent upon A, but what A will think that I cannot go to node X, but B can go, and then A will update its table here after receiving the update from B. A will update its table, so the distance will be here 10, because for A to B it is 4 and B to X it is 6, so it will be 10. So this is the table, sorry, this is the table updated by A, and again this A will send this table to B, so again B will update it to 14, again B will send to A like this, and at the end finally they will reach to a state where they all the means both the nodes will make the distance to X as infinite. So this is the problem for in distance vector routing algorithm. Okay, for if they are not if B does not get A's routing table immediately after failure, then both the nodes will go into some unstable state. So this is the example of a domain using RIP. RIP is nothing but the implementation of distance vector routing algorithm. It is an intra-domain routing protocol we have already studied. It is very simple protocol. It is based upon distance vector. So some considerations are there in an autonomous system. We are dealing with routers and networks, and the routers have routing tables and networks don't have. So the destination in a routing table is a network, which means the first column defines network address. So this is the network address basically. The metric used by RIP is very simple. The distance is defined as the number of links or number of networks to reach the destination. So the metric here we are using is the distance, and distance is nothing but the number of networks. So for this reason the metric in RIP is known as hop count. So we say this as a hop count, number of hops. Number of hop means number of networks via which we are passing. Infinity is here, if there is an infinity then we define it as 16, means the maximum hop count there can be 15 in RIP. The next node column defines the address of the router to which the packet is to be sent to reach its destination. Okay, this is the scenario of RIP. So here okay, let us look for the routing table of R1. The table has 7 entries in it. This table it has 7 entries. So we will see how we can reach, how the networks can reach from one autonomous system to another in each network. See here, router R1 is directly connected to this 130.10.0.0. So R1, this is R1, it is directly connected to this network and to this network. So 130.10.0.0 and 130.11.0.0, from these two networks R1 is directly connected. So the number of hop count will be 1 here. So number of hop count will be here 1 for these two networks. Wait a minute. So here okay, it is directly connected, so it is 1 and 1, which means that there is no next hop entry for these two networks because they are directly connected. So next hop is required only when it is an intermediate node. Okay, if it is the destination node then there is no requirement of next hop. To send a packet to one of the three networks at the far left, router R1 needs to deliver the packet to R2. Okay, from here it has to go to this, see, 195.2.4.0. So this is the network. So R1 has to go to R2 first, then to this. So 1 and 2, so it needs 2 hops. So here we have written 2. Okay, again for 192.2.5.0, again we have 2 hops. Okay, 195.2.6.0, so this is the 195.2.6.0. so from R1 we have to go to this, so 1, 2 and 3, so number of hop counts will be 3. So and the next hop will be 130.1.0.0.2 1. Okay, so this is the table for R1. Okay, and likewise you can study all the tables. So this is basically the implementation of distance vector routing algorithm. Okay, next we will see another algorithm which is link state routing algorithm. It is also intra-domain routing algorithm. So in link state routing, if each node in the domain has the entire topology of the domain, the list of the node and the link, how they are connected, including the type, cost, condition of links, the node. So in basically in this algorithm, we in this link state routing we are using Distra's algorithm. Okay, we will see what is that. So this is the basic concept of link state routing algorithm. Each node uses the same topology to create the routing table, but the routing table for each node is unique because the calculations are here based on different interpretation of the topology. This is analogous to like a city map where each person may have the same map. Each needs to take different route to reach a specific destination. So here the metric can be different for every network. Okay, so this is the table. Basically in distance vector routing, we were only transmitting the routing table to neighboring nodes, but in link state routing, we have to broadcast the routing table, means one table will be broadcasted to all the routers. So this is basically based upon global knowledge, and distance vector was based upon local knowledge. So each and every node has the knowledge of all the nodes in the network, all the routing tables. So this is the diagram of link state knowledge. So node A knows that it is connected to node B with a metric 5, to node C with a metric of 2, and node D with a metric of 3. Node C knows that it is connected to node A with metric of 2, to node B with metric of 4, and node E with metric of 4. Node D knows that it is connected to only node A with metric 3, and like this, so on. Okay, so in link state routing, how to build routing tables? In link state routing, basically four sets of actions are required to ensure that each node has a routing table which shows the least cost node to every other node. Creation of states of the links by each node called link state packet. It is known as LSP, link state packet. So what we do is dissemination of LSPs to every other node, every other router, which is known as flooding. So it is an efficient and reliable way. So what we do is we create link state table for each link state packet for each node. We create LSPs for each node, and then we broadcast the LSPs, which is known as flooding. Formation of a shortest path tree for each node, and then calculation of a routing table based on the shortest path tree. Okay, next, how to create link state packet. See, a link state packet can carry a large amount of information, but here we are only taking the minimum amount of data which is necessary. So the node identity, the list of links, a sequence number, and edge. Basically, identity and the list of links are needed to make the topology, and the sequence number facilitate the flooding and distinguishes new LSPs from old ones. So sequence number is whenever if there is any change in the network. Okay, so we will send the new LSP. So sequence number is used to distinguish between new and old LSP. And the fourth one, which is edge, which prevents old LSPs from remaining in the domain for a long time. So it is something which is if it is from for very long, and we are not transferring, we are not refreshing the information, then that information will become bogus and it will be discarded. LSPs are generated on two occasions mainly. First, when there is a change in the topology of the domain. So if there is, see, in what we are saying is, in link state routing algorithm, topology is not fixed. So a metric is changed every time based on the requirement of the network. So whenever there is a change in the topology, then we will transfer the LSP packets to the so that all the nodes can may know the update, and they can update their topologies. Next we have next we will send LSP to on periodic basis also. See, this period of time is much longer as compared to distance vector. Why? Because in distance vector we were transmitting to only neighboring nodes, and here we are transferring to whole network. So if we make this period very less, then there will be very much traffic, huge amount of traffic on the network. So to reduce this traffic, we have increased the time of the period for link state routing algorithm. So it is generally 60 minutes or 2 hours, based upon in between 60 minutes or 2 hours based upon the implementation. A longer period ensures that flooding does not create too much traffic on the network. Okay, so now next we have flooding of LSPs. So flooding of whenever a node has prepared an LSP, it must be transmitted to all the other nodes. Okay, so the process is known as flooding, and it based upon the following considerations. The creating node send a copy of the LSP out of each interface. Then a node that receives the LSP compares it with the copy it may already have. If the newly arrived LSP is older than the one it has, then it will discard the LSP. And if it is newer, then the node do the following: it discards the old LSP and keep the new one, and it sends a copy of it out of each interface except the one from which the packet has arrived. So it will not send to the source of the LSP, and it will broadcast, and but it will not send to the source of the LSP because there is no need actually. This guarantees that flooding stops somewhere in the domain. Okay, so next, the formation of the shortest path. For a linked state algorithm, we use a Distras's algorithm for the formation of the shortest path. So basically this is the this is Distras's algorithm. We have to follow the following steps. So first start, then set route to the local node and move it to the basically we have two lists there. Here we have two lists. First one is permanent list and second one is tentative list. So initially we will put all the routes into the tentative list. So set route to local node and move it to tentative list, and if the tentative list is empty, then we will stop, and if it is not empty, then among nodes in tentative list, move the one with the shortest path to permanent list, and then add each unprocessed neighbor of last moved nodes to tentative list if not already there. If Okay, we will see the example. If neighbor is in the tentative list with larger cumulative cost, then replace it with new one. Okay, this is the example of formation of shortest path in linked state routing algorithm using Distras's algorithm. Okay, so see, this this is the starting this is the starting point. So first of all we will take the node A. Okay, then A will be added to first. Okay, A will be first added to this tentative list. Initially A is in tentative list. Okay, so and permanent list is right now empty. So node A has the shortest cumulative cost from all the nodes in the tentative list. So we move A to the permanent list and add all the neighbors of A to the tentative list. So here A, this is A, and we have, so A has been moved to permanent list, and then we are adding B, C, D to tentative list. Okay, then node C has the shortest cumulative cost from all the nodes in tentative list. So we move C to permanent list, and node C has 3 neighbors here, but A has already been processed. So we will take only unprocessed nodes, which are B and E. However, B is already in the tentative list with cumulative cost of 5, but node A could also reach to B through C with a cumulative cost of 6. So here 5 is less than 6, so we keep node B with the cumulative cost of 5 in the tentative list, and we do not replace it. So our new list will be, in permanent list we have A and E, and in tentative list we have B, E and D. Okay, next, node D has the shortest cumulative cost of all the nodes in the tentative list. So we move D to the permanent list, and node D has no unprocessed neighbor. So the list will be like this. Simply we will move D to the permanent list, and rest all will be in tentative list, which are in tentative list. Okay. So again, okay, next, node B has the shortest cumulative cost of all the nodes in the tentative list. We move B to again permanent list, and again we need to add all the unprocessed neighbors of B. So E has already in the list with the smaller cumulative cost, and the cumulative cost to E as the neighbor of B is 8. So we keep E6 to the tentative list. So our new list will be in permanent list we have A, B, C, O, and in tentative list we have E with the cost as 6. So again node E has the shortest cumulative cost from all the nodes in the tentative list. So we move again E to the permanent list. So node E has no neighbor. Now the tentative list is empty. So we will stop here, and our shortest path tree is all ready. The final list is A with 0, B 5, and C 2, D 3, and E 6. So and tentative list is empty. So this is the example of the shortest path of A. Okay, so it is what for A it is 0, for B it is 5, for C it is 2, like this. Okay. Okay, so next we have OSPF protocol, open shortest path first. It is nothing but an implementation of link state routing. Its domain is also an autonomous system. So here we have areas to handle routing efficiently and in timely manner. OSPF divides the autonomous system into areas. Area is nothing but a collection of networks, hosts, and routers which all contained within an autonomous system. An autonomous system can be divided into many different areas. All networks inside an area must be connected. Routers inside an area flood the area with routing information. At the border of an area, we have special routers which are known as area border routers. Among the area inside an autonomous system, there is a special area which is known as backbone. Okay, so backbone serves as a primary area and other areas as a secondary areas. This doesn't mean that the routers within area cannot be connected to each other. They can be connected, okay, but they are generally connected by the backbone router. The routers inside the backbone are known as backbone routers, and the backbone routers can also be an area border router. Okay, if because of some problems the connectivity between a backbone and an area is broken, a virtual link between routers can be created by administrator to allow connectivity of the continuity of the functions of the backbone as the primary area. Okay, so this is link OSPF protocol. Next we have some types of links. So the types of link for this OSPF protocol, so we have point to point connection, transient connection, stub, and virtual connection. So point to point link is it connects two routers without any other host, so it is a direct connection between two routers. And transient connection, it is a link in a network with several routers attached to it. The data can enter through any of the routers and leave through any router. Okay, so this is the unrealistic representation of transient network. Why this is unrealistic? Because we have to transfer to each and every node, broadcast, we have to broadcast each and every information. In realistic representation, we take a central router, and this is something like star topology. So we take a central router, and all remaining routers are connected to this central router, and then the information can be passed via this central router. Okay, next we have stub network. Stub link is a network which is connected to only one router. The data packets enter the network through this single router and leave the network through the same router. Okay, so next we have graphical representation in OSPF. So here we have 7 networks and 6 routers here. So two of the networks are point to point network, which are A to D and B to E. So there is no need to assign identity to a point to point network because they are directly connected. And we have used square nodes for the routers and ovals for the networks in the graphical representation. So here we have three three stub networks. Okay, so this is a stub network because it is directly connected to the network. One router is 1, 2 and 3. These are stub networks. Okay, so this is a graphical representation of OSPF. Okay, so thank you so much.